I think I recently came up with potentially the ultimate voicing and articulation exercise. If you can do this, then you can probably articulate just about anything. And if you can't do this, you should start practicing it because it'll be so helpful for articulation, voicing, sound quality, all of the good stuff that we want to get out of our clarinet. My name is Josh Gu, and I'm taking my years of experience learning, teaching, and performing, and sharing all of my best clarinet and music tips so you can get more out of your practice, and most importantly, have fun. You can learn more about all of my many resources at quickstartclarinet.com, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell to get notified when I post new videos. If you enjoy this video and find it helpful, then you should absolutely go to quickstartclarinet.com/get-started, where you can make a totally free account for my free members area that has my very best downloads, handouts, resources for you, all nice and neatly organized. Now, getting into this exercise, I'm going to play it, and you might find it kind of funny when you don't know the trick. The trick is what makes the difference, but let me play it to demonstrate what it might look like. Now, as you're hearing that, you might be thinking like, yeah, sounds like a very basic legato kind of scale articulation exercise, which it is, but if you were listening very closely, you also might have heard that I'm starting to get a little bit of undertone on those notes, especially as I go lower. There's kind of just a little grunt or a little thud or a little undertone happening at the starts of the notes, which you very may easily have kind of written off as like, well, yeah, those notes are easy to get undertones and grunts and thuds on. And if you find that you're getting kind of thuddy, grunty articulation in the upper clarion, then this exercise is going to be really good for you, because it is pretty normal to get that, and it's a common issue that lots of people struggle with. Now, the trick that I was doing that makes this exercise completely different than what it was sounding like is I'm doing it all without the register key. So I'm playing in the upper register without pressing the register key. This is a common thing that I've had at least one, probably 2 or 3 teachers over the years kind of suggest and talk about, and it's a great voicing exercise. But normally we only do it slurring, and when we add articulation in, it becomes a whole different beast. So let me talk about the benefits of the kind of no register key idea first, and then we'll go from there. So what we want to do, and the way to start this, is to start by playing a high C with the register key, and then take your thumb off. And the goal of this exercise is to work our voicing. The physics of the instrument, the way it works, is that the register key, when it's open, kind of adds turbulence to the airflow and the resonance, which kind of causes things to jump up to the higher frequency and vibrate at that higher energy and frequency. But we can also do it without the register key, purely through our own voicing and putting kind of enough energy and support into the reed that we kind of force things to vibrate at that higher frequency. Normally the register key takes care of that, but we're working at it to make it happen. So what we do, we start with the register key to kind of have that help and get the energy going, and then we take off the register key and work to keep it in that higher register. As you start to practice this, you might get something like this. So as you hold it, it stays for a while in the higher register and then eventually drops down. So if that's happening to you, you can kind of quickly flick the register key to help it kind of pop back up. Let me see if I can get that on the camera to kind of show you what I mean. And eventually you should get to the point where you can hold it up in the higher register longer and longer. And the way to do that is through maybe just the tiniest bit more embouchure support, but mostly through better voicing. So thinking narrower, faster airstream, aiming the air a little bit higher so that you aren't blowing down the instrument or at the floor, but you're aiming kind of parallel to the ground or maybe even a little bit up, kind of blowing the air through this point in your top lip and keeping that support moving forward and a little bit higher. So eventually you'll get to that point. The second step of this exercise now, once you can do it comfortably on a high C, is to keep the register key off and then work your way down the scale. And you can start with the register key and then kind of take it off, and as you're going down and you start to get undertones, you can also kind of flick the register key to jump back up and kind of try to keep that energy going as you get back up to the higher register. But we want to be able to play down at least to G. Ultimately, if you can get all the way down to the B and keep it in the higher register without the register key, that's in really good shape with your voicing. So this exercise would look something like this. Start with the register key, take it off, and then play down. And it's very easy, especially as you get to those lower notes, the E, D, C, B. It's easy for those to drop down to the lower register. So you really have to work at it to keep that voicing up. And you can, again, flick the register key to remind yourself what it feels like to have that higher frequency of vibration going. And then keep that going just with the air, embouchure, and voicing to stay in that higher register. So that's step 2. Step number 3, once you get comfortable playing down to some of those lower notes, you don't have to be perfect at the kind of E, D, C, but at least get to G very comfortably and reliably. Once you're comfortable with that, then you can practice just starting on those notes in the higher register. So doing it with the high C is the easiest. So I'm going to do no register key, just like I'm fingering a low F, but I'm going to aim for the high C. So it's basically intentionally squeaking. Once you can do that on the C, then you can do that going down to the lower notes. Again, just starting the notes like that. And as you get lower, that was at D, it gets really, really challenging to do that. So working on trying to hit that second partial of the clarinet is what we're aiming for, hitting the notes in the clarion with no register key and voicing alone. Once you can do this down to a G consistently, then you're in really good shape. And then you can start doing the fourth and final step, which is to do it as an articulation exercise. So we start on the C, and then we're going to tongue like we would normally tongue and articulate. You should also tongue the first note when you're starting it, because we always start with our tongue to articulate notes and start notes on the clarinet anyways. But now we're going to do continuous articulation on it, like the exercise I started with. And again, around the D is where it's not going so well. I can sometimes get this down to C or B. I literally just came up with this exercise yesterday, I think, and when I'm a little bit more warmed up, it goes a little bit better. But as long as, again, you can get down to G, maybe F or E, then you're in really, really good shape. And as you get lower, it's going to get harder and harder, and you're going to have to be more perfect with your embouchure and voicing and tongue position. And that's why this is the ultimate exercise, I think, for articulation primarily, but also really, really great for voicing. Doing the first 1, 2, 3 steps is really good just for voicing, because you're having to find the right voicing. But once we add the articulation in, it's a game changer of an exercise for articulation, because when we're doing this, it's the voicing and the energy of our voicing that gets it up into the higher register. The problem, 95% of everybody's problem when it comes to articulation, is that as we move the tongue to articulate, we're disrupting and disturbing the voicing to get whatever note we want to come out. Even when you're using the register key and you get that thuddy, grunty undertone articulation in the upper clarion, it's because When the sound stops as you articulate, maybe you're backing off the air, maybe as your tongue moves, the jaw's wanting to move because those motions are so connected and so used to moving together. And even more common is as you move the tip of the tongue to dampen the reed vibrations, you're also moving the back of the tongue, and then you're no longer in the good voicing and you're no longer using the air to channel the air support really well to get the notes to come out. So when we do this without the register key, it makes it even more revealing and even more of a small margin for error for our voicing to be good, and it will become really, really obvious if you're moving your tongue too much, and you'll get something that sounds like this. And especially as you get onto the lower notes, it's going to get worse. And as you start articulating, you kind of lose the energy that you need to get the notes to come out well and to stay in that higher register. So what this does for articulation is it trains us to keep the voicing and the air support and the embouchure support and the sound support independent from the articulation and the tongue motion. And in my opinion, again, I think that's 95% of articulation problems are that the articulation is not independent from all of that sound support. So this exercise really trains that super, super well. Now I'll give you one bonus exercise. If you get really, really good at that and you can go down to C and do nice legato articulation without the register key, to add one more layer of difficulty, try doing it staccato. And if you can do it staccato, then your articulation is in really, really good shape as far as quality goes. So that's what this is what that would sound like. That time I made it down to the C pretty well. You could hear kind of the multiphonic where you were hearing the undertone even starting at the D and then really towards the end of the C. But now doing that, now I feel really warmed up and I can do all kinds of good staccato with the register key now. Because now I've trained that independence of the air support, the voicing support from the tongue motion. Now I can shape the notes however I want with that good independent tongue motion. And if you want to add one more super bonus difficulty, which I'll try to demonstrate just to torture myself. I haven't actually done this at all yet, so this will be the first time that I give it a try. Do it staccato without the register key at a soft dynamic. Let's see if I can even do that on the first try. I made it down to F before it started breaking. And if you can do that, then your articulation is going to be set. Let me know if you have any questions about this exercise. Hopefully it's helpful. Let me know if you're able to do any of it, which step in the process you were able to get through. Was it step 1, just playing the high C with the register key and then letting it go? Step 2 of playing the high C with the register key, letting it go, and then playing down the scale. Step 3, starting with no register key on those different notes kind of individually down the scale. Step 4, which is the key one to work up to, doing legato articulation without the register key, making your way down the scale. Or bonus step 1, being able to do it staccato. Bonus step 2, staccato and at a soft dynamic. Again, if you can do that, then your articulation is set. Let me know in the comments below which of those steps you were able to get to pretty consistently and comfortably. Work on this exercise to develop that independence of voicing, air support, embouchure support, independent from the articulation, and it'll improve your overall voicing control. It'll improve your articulation immensely. And again, I think this is my new favorite exercise for working on articulation and voicing and good sound on the clarinet. So let me know if you have any questions. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you in another one. And last but not least, a huge heartfelt thank you to the Dennersons. This is like the Quick Start Clarinet family who supports the channel and helps to make everything that I do possible. If you would like to support the channel and get some awesome rewards in return where we can work one-on-one over video and you can have my full support moving forward on your clarinet journey, then go to quickstartclarinet.com/supporter.